What is going on, everybody? You are live with the third episode of the Give Me the Points podcast. I again am alone tonight. Um, no Tyler, no producer Dale. It's just me. So lucky you. You get to sit here and listen to me talk for probably the next hour or so. Um, but I'm going to do my best for you guys. It sucks that Tyler's not here because there's some big news regarding both of our teams this week. And I'm going to go ahead and start out with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Urban Meyer already, causing trouble, starting turmoil. Urban Meyer decided that he sharpened his teeth in college football as a head coach. He was the best recruiter in college football while he coached in college football. That makes him the best liar in college football. Recruiting is all about lying, telling a kid, "Oh yeah, you're going to get playing time," blah blah blah. Meanwhile, he's going to be 7th or 8th in the depth chart. Urban Meyer lied about his own health when it came to leaving his job. This guy, all he had to do was lie this week. All he had to do was lie, and he didn't. He told the truth. He told the truth about guys getting cut based off of their COVID vaccination status. While yes, I completely, I understand where he's coming from, and I truly believe that players were cut based off of their vaccination status. All he had to do was lie. Tell a little lie. Don't admit that you cut guys based off of them not being vaccinated. It would have avoided all of this trouble, but the Jaguars have already recanted the statement. They're already, backpedaling. They're trying to cover their own ass, and it's already out there. And I don't think that anybody thought that there would ever be a chance that guys wouldn't be cut based off their vaccination status. It puts you at risk of a forfeit this year with the strict rules. And that leads me into New England. Cam Newton, cut. Dunzo. Mac Jones is QB1. I thought it would happen at some point, but not this early. Week 1, Mac Jones is starting. Cam Newton was cut. So he lost the starting job. There's no denying that. He lost his starting job. But you don't keep a guy like that as a backup. First of all, he didn't want to be a backup when he signed with New England. That's why he held out of a bunch of teams. I think that Belichick probably went to him with a little bit of respect and said, "Hey, Cam, here's your options. You can be the backup or we can part ways." I would assume Cam probably decided, I'm not going to be the backup. And from a team standpoint, it makes sense. You don't want your backup quarterback having a grip on the locker room the way Cam Newton did. That just challenges your starting quarterback's leadership. You don't want that. You want the guys to believe in Mac Jones. You want them to look at him as their leader. Second of all, it is known to everybody Cam Newton is not vaccinated. Cam Newton has been on the COVID list 4 times in the past year and a half. Cam Newton does not, not being vaccinated is one thing. To each their own. I understand why, everybody has an opinion. Everybody wants to do what they want to do with their own body. I get that. But Cam Newton took no precautions at all. Being an unvaccinated person, he didn't care. He exposed himself to those, who may be at high risk, those who may have tested positive already. He took no precautions to help his team, and he put his team at risk. So, one, you lose the starting job and you don't want to be a backup. That's, if you want to be released, you get released. 2, you have command over the locker room, and you want your rookie quarterback to have that kind of command. And 3, he puts them at risk for a forfeit week in and week out. So that being said, Cam Newton's gone. It's the Mac Jones era. Mac Daddy, Big Mac, Pep Nips, whatever you want to call him. The kid's going to be a week 1 starter. And I don't know how it's going to go. I'm excited to see it. He looked good in the preseason. I hope he shocks me. I'm really excited to see what he can do. I'm going to get my hopes up. He's probably going to let me down. But we'll see what happens. You don't want to be the guy that replaces the guy. That was Cam Newton. Cam Newton was the guy that replaced Tom Brady. You want to be the guy that replaces the guy that replaced the guy. They only have to go up from here at the quarterback position because Cam Newton was god-awful last year. I think he probably would have had a little bit better of a year this year with the weapons around him. But at the same point in time, I think this is going to be really good for Damian Harris's career. I think this is going to be really good for Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith this year. And the outside receivers, Jakobi Meyers isn't going to get killed across the middle every time. And we'll see what Nelson Aguilar can do. Stephon Gilmore got put on the PUP list. That hurts. Your number one corner, a top 5 corner in the NFL goes on the PUP list. He's out for 6 weeks. But they are getting Donta Hightower back. They did re-sign Kyle Van Noy. They brought in Matt Judon. So the defense, I think, will be okay. But, yeah, so Urban Meyer, Mac Jones, Cam Newton, it's been a wild week for us as a Jacksonville Jaguars fan and a New England Patriots fan. With that being said, recap on last week. We killed it. 3-0 on the college plays. We took Illinois plus the 7.5 against Nebraska, and they won the game outright. We called Martinez as a fumbling machine. It was like 16 seconds left before the half. He puts the ball on the ground, scoop and score. That was the go-ahead touchdown. Illinois never looked back. Nebraska made a little push at the end there, but they needed 28 points to make the comeback, and it just wasn't going to happen with the amount of time left. The second game, Fresno over 44 points. We said, stay away from the over because you have to rely on UConn to score some points. Just take Fresno to, win in a rout. And that's what they did, 45-0. The under hit because UConn could not score to save their life. They're just as bad as they were in 2019 last time they played football. And then the Hawaii UCLA under. I predicted the game would finish in the mid-50s. The over-under was at 68.5. The game was not what I expected. UCLA got up big and it was early. I was 31-10, I think, at the end of the first quarter. So 41 points in the first quarter. I thought, this is dead. There's no way. But then Hawaii just never scored again. And UCLA did what they were supposed to do, and what most teams should do is run the ball, and let the clock run out. And they won the game 44-10. If that was USC, they probably would have tried to tack on more points, but nobody cares if you beat Hawaii by 35 or if you beat Hawaii by 60. It doesn't matter. UCLA is not going to make the college football playoffs, so margin of victory really doesn't matter to them. But what they did was the right thing. You run the ball, you get out of there with a big win, and you don't get anybody hurt. That leads us into week 1 of the college football season. Last week was week 0 because it wasn't really officially a week. But week 1 is loaded with some top 25 matchups. And I want to get started. We're going to hop right into probably the second biggest game of the week. Alabama's got Miami in the opener. Yes, Alabama lost Mac Jones. Yes, Alabama lost Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle and Najee Harris and 3 offensive linemen in the draft this year. But this Alabama team's going to be different than last year's Alabama team. It's not going to be offense. This linebacking core is probably the best individual unit of players in all of college football. There's not a defensive line, a wide receiver core, a secondary that's better than Alabama's linebacking core this year. It's really tough for me to pick against D'Eriq King when he's getting 19.5 points. But I do believe this Alabama team is going to come out. I think they're going to keep him in the pocket and make him a pocket passer. That's not D'Eriq King's game. He needs to get out. He needs to make plays with his legs. He needs to extend the play. I think Alabama wins this game. I think they cover the 19.5 points. I'm going to say Alabama minus 19.5. I'll say Bama 45, Miami 17. I think they're going to control this game pretty well. It'll be interesting to see what the offense does, but I don't think 45 points is astronomical for Alabama. Alabama brings in top world talent every single year. The next game I like to cover is North Carolina versus Virginia Tech. These two went at it last year. Absolute offensive explosion. It was like 1,200 total yards. I'm big on Sam Howell this year. Yes, they lost both their running backs to the draft. Yes, he lost his top 2 wide receivers to the draft. But it's still Sam Howell. They still brought in a bunch of talent. I still think North Carolina is going to be a shootout team this year. I think they're going to score somewhere in the, high 30s to low 40s per game, and they're probably going to let up somewhere in the high 20s to low 30s per game. It's going to be a lot of high-scoring football with North Carolina. And Virginia Tech held their own last year. They put up 500 yards. It'll be a good game until the end. I think North Carolina pulls away at the end. The spread's at 5.5. That's why I don't necessarily like them to cover the spread, because I could see them winning a 3 or 4 point game. So I'm going to take the over 63.5 and just hope for Sam Howell to start out his Heisman campaign and put us one step closer to cashing that Heisman ticket at the end of the year. Next game I've got is Iowa versus Indiana. Michael Penix Jr. is back. He's healthy, but it's not going to be enough. They had no run game last year. They have no run game this year. And Iowa's got a very, very good secondary. If Indiana can't get the ball going on the ground, it's going to be a long day for them. Iowa's got that Big Ten defense, that prototypical Big Ten defense, and I think Iowa should be able to cover these 3 points. If you want to buy it down to 2.5, go ahead. I'm not going to argue with that. It saves you in case it goes to overtime and they went on a field goal in overtime or whatever. I always, like I said in the first episode, I always like getting under those common scoring margins, those 3s, those 4s, those 7s, those 10s, stuff like that. So if you buy the half point, take it. I'm just going to take Iowa -3 because I think they win this game by 7 to 10 points. Next game I've got here for you, Texas versus one of the surprise teams of the year last year, Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns. Texas is going to have an offense. They brought in Sark, Alabama's old OC. Those of you who don't know Steve Sarkisian, offensive mastermind. They brought in Sark. I like Sark to get this Texas offense rolling and get it rolling quickly. But look at this. Hold on a second. We have a guest appearance here.
I saw your bat signal go up, and I thought, well,
yes.
I might as well show up and see what's going on.
Well, I appreciate you, Commissioner Gordon, for coming to my rescue.
I have no voice, so
that's okay.
I'm not going to help you much.
That's okay. So far, I've covered Alabama to cover 19.5 versus Miami, North Carolina versus Virginia Tech over 63.5.
Okay.
Iowa to cover 3 against Indiana, and I'm going over Texas and Louisiana Lafayette right now, and I like the over 57.5 this game. Like I said, Texas is going to have an offense. They brought in Steve Sarkisian, who's now their head coach. I love what he's going to be able to do with this offense. And Texas, their defense has sucked for a long time.
Sure.
It's just what it is. It's Big 12 football. We don't play defense in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Louisiana Lafayette, on the other hand, was pretty impressive last year. They actually beat Iowa State. Granted, they only scored, I think it was 27 points. They were +2 in the turnover differential. But I like the Raging Cajuns to put up some points in this game. I really do. They averaged almost 35 a game last year with 430 yards of offense. I like that against the Texas defense, and I think this number under 60 is a good bet. I could see Texas winning this game something like, 35 to 31, something like that. The line is at 9, so I don't necessarily like Texas to cover the spread because they've been nothing but a disappointment for so many years. And I was a big Sam Ehlinger guy, but I like the over in this game.
I think one thing to note with both of these teams, something that's been an issue for a long time, is they're both momentum programs. Texas, when they're down, it's hard for them to rally. They've got to be playing well in order to continue to play well. And same thing with the Raging Cajuns. When their offense is clicking, they're dangerous. They play fast. They play loose. They're not afraid to take chances downfield. They're a very streaky team. And if you can get into a shootout with them, or if they can convince you to get into a shootout with them, and they can get their opponent frustrated and trying to play catch up, they have an opportunity to not only hang a number on you, but steal a game that maybe they shouldn't win. Texas needs to be careful. You have those early season jitters. You can't get down on yourself. The coach can't, Sarkisian can't overthink this. He can't overcoach this game. He's got to let players play, and the players have to trust the system. Like you said, Ehlinger's not there anymore. They've got to buy in. They've got to find their identity early, because if they play into how Texas has been playing the last few years and they ride that momentum train, if they fall short and they fall flat, they could end up catching an L right out of the gate. And this is not a gimme game for the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah, and for those of you guys that can't tell, because you're used to the radio smooth voice,
Yeah.
But tonight he sounds like somebody's trying to saw a piece of PVC pipe in half.
Yeah, it's bad.
This is Dale from Punch List MMA. He hopped in here without my knowledge. I don't even know how he got the code to get in here to the stream, but he managed it, and he's here. But yeah, and let's not forget, Texas does have one of the best backs in the country in Bijan Robinson. I like him to have a big year this year. I think he'll be the focal point of the offense, catches the ball out of the backfield really well. I like the over 57.5 in this game. And this leads me to the biggest game of week one, let alone the whole damn season, man. I'm a Dogs fan. You live in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
You've lived in and out of South Carolina for, 15 years now?
No. Yeah.
Whatever.
Almost
Long time.
10, almost 10, but
10
yes.
years. Georgia versus Clemson. This is national championship caliber football written all over it in week one. I'm just going to say bias. I think Georgia's going to win the game. I think it's going to come down to Georgia's obviously going to run the ball better than Clemson. That's what Georgia does. That's RBU. Clemson's going to pass the ball better than Georgia for the majority of the game. But I think the big Cinco makes one more mistake than JT Daniels does in this game, and I think that's going to be the difference maker. So I personally like Georgia as the dog outright. But the play here for Gimme the Points is the under 53. I like this to be a hard-nosed slobber knocker. I think this is going to be a 24-21 kind of game. I'd love to see overtime. Sweet. That'd be fantastic to watch. Overtime kills unders. But I like the under 53 here. I really do think both teams score in the low 20s. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. And I think it's something that we can look forward to, 3 or 4 months from now, come college football playoff. We might see a rematch.
Right.
It'd be sweet to see these teams play each other and then play each other again and see what kind of adjustments the good old Dabo and Kirby Smart can make. Under 53 here. This game's going to be so freaking good. I can't wait. 7:30 Saturday night. It's going to be a blast to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things you need to pay attention to when it comes to a game like this is whether or not players can gear themselves up to be in the right frame of mind to play hard, to play fast, and to actually get after the ball and play aggressive. This is something that both of these teams, I know that we talked about this last week or week before last, because it's one of the first games or the first game of the season, there is a margin for error that's going to be allowed to the loser of this game. However, it needs to be a statement for the winner. The winner has to make a statement here. They can't let the loser just go off just hanging their head. They need to hang a number on them. They need to hang an ass whooping on them. They need to do something in order to win. I like the idea of this being a slobber knocker. I like it being the idea of it being like a knockout, drag out brawl more than a shootout, because I think both of these teams are going to come out with very high intensity and aggression levels, ready to inflict damage on the other. My only concern would be is, can we keep these dynamite lineups intact after this game? First time going like really full speed, first time like high energy game reps. I need to see offenses and defenses come out of this relatively unscathed, despite the fact that they're being very aggressive, because this game for both the winner and the loser will set the precedent for the rest of the year. I don't know what the line is off the top of my head. What are the points at? I know 53.5, but what's the line?
Clemson -3.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I know. It's tough. I mean, at that point, I mean, it's a true coin toss game in my opinion.
Yeah. Is it? It's at Georgia?
Oh, no, I believe. Yeah. Yes. Man, I'm frazzled.
If it's at Georgia, I like Georgia with the points then. If it's Clemson, I would if they're at Clemson, I'd take Clemson.
So you're siding with the home team.
I'm siding with the home team here.
Okay.
Especially if the home team's getting points.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. I mean, we'll get to it once college basketball season starts, but that's a very college basketball thing to do. When it's a pick 'em and it's at home, you just take the home team.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a field goal, so
Yeah, exactly. And it's to the point where if you're taking Clemson and you take the 2.5, you're taking Clemson to win. The odds of them winning by 1 or 2, very slim. I've been burnt doing that before, taking the spread rather than the money line, because it does happen. But that's why it's just with it being a coin toss, I'd rather side towards the over or the under.
Yeah.
A game that I don't have a banner for it for the live stream here, but I do know that we touched on it very briefly. Penn State, Wisconsin, lines at 51.5 under.
Yeah. 100%.
You have Graham Mertz at quarterback for Wisconsin. You have Sean Clifford at quarterback for Penn State.
That game will end 17-10.
I was thinking 21-17. So we're right around, that's still 38. You're still covering by 13 points.
Yeah.
I like the under in that game. I think both run games are going to struggle. Both defenses are going to be fantastic. I really like both these defenses this year. And you have two quarterbacks that are known to make mistakes. Graham Mertz looked like he might have been the answer at quarterback for Wisconsin, as they've struggled for quite some time to find that guy. And Sean Clifford was supposed to be that guy, but he's turnover prone. So yeah, I'd side with the defenses on that one, and I'd side the under 51.5. Is there any games that I know I touched on the Miami game. The game's at Clemson.
Okay.
It's Clemson. It's at Clemson -3. I thought so. I thought if it was,
I'm taking Clemson then.
I thought if it was at Georgia, it'd probably be a pick 'em.
Yeah.
So I do think Georgia's the better all-around team. So Dale's siding with Clemson to win the game. I'm going to say, for the give me the points sake, we're going to stick with the under 53. Fan bias, give me the dogs to win the game. But like we said last week, this game means a lot more to Clemson than it does to Georgia. Way more to Clemson.
Right now, Georgia goes into Clemson and beats them at home, first game of the season, and the first game post-Trevor Lawrence era. Boy, I'll tell you what, you could send that hot air balloon that is the Clemson Tigers just plummeting to the earth. I mean,
that city's going to catch on fire, man. Was it Greenville?
It's Anderson.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I lived in the greater Greenville area, I lived in Simpsonville, which is about 40 minutes away from, not even, maybe like 30 minutes away from the Clemson campus. And my wife and I, we had just moved there. Like, we had signed the lease on our apartment. We didn't even have our furniture yet. We were waiting for the Air Force to deliver it still. So we had no furniture for weeks. But anyway, we'd go out and eat every meal. So we went to an IHOP, and we sit down, and the lady comes up and she's talking to us, and she's like, you guys don't sound like you're from here. Where are you from? I said, we just moved down here from where, I just got the Air Force, but we're from Pittsburgh originally, and we just moved down here. And she goes, all right, well, this is the most important question that anybody's ever going to ask you while you're down here. Are you a Clemson fan? Or are you a Gamecocks fan? And admittedly, I didn't know the proximity to the campus. And coming from the greater Pittsburgh area, we have professional sports teams. So I never really paid that much attention to collegiate sports outside of basketball for a long time. And because Pitt football hasn't been good in years, or it hadn't been at the time.
Still isn't.
It's still not great, but we've had, some people have come out of there that have made it worth watching.
Right.
But anyway, and I said, she's our waitress, and she said, Clemson or South Carolina. And I said, whatever one's going to get me better service. And she was like, well, that's around these parts, that's going to be Clemson. I said, well, then I'm a Clemson fan. And she's like, that's a smart answer. Keep going with that. So I'm not a Clemson fan. I'm also not a South Carolina fan. I think South Carolina fans and Cleveland Brown and New York Jet fans are cut from the same cloth. They just love suffering and love acting like there's ways where they can win, where they just clearly cannot. Clemson appears to be a better program in that regard, but I'm still not a gun to my head, not a Clemson Tiger fan here.
Yeah, and we have as my second favorite college football team, which you either love them or you hate them. Everybody grew up watching them because they've had, just an absolute lockdown on cable television for the past, 60 years. Notre Dame's got Florida State. I believe that's the Sunday night game. Should be interesting. At some point, Brian Kelly's got to be on the hot seat. You got to win something. Getting to the college football playoffs and losing to Clemson by 40 is not acceptable. And against Florida State, who's just been a dumpster fire in the past 4 years, I would like to think Notre Dame comes out and makes a statement in this game. I think it'll be fun to watch, but I'm not going to get my hopes up for Notre Dame as a total this year.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. I think they're
I think they're 7.5 point favorites. I'll buy the half point. I'll just take Notre Dame -7 in this game. I like to see them come out and be aggressive early. Notre Dame's consistent for having a stellar offensive line, a stellar run game. I guess you can say game managing quarterback year in and year out. Ian Book did a damn good job at that. Actually did more than manage games. Ian Book was pretty good and dual threat quarterback.
Yeah.
And I just like to see Florida State fail. But yeah, so the plays for this week, for week 1, are going to be Alabama -19.5 versus Miami, North Carolina, Virginia Tech over 63.5, Iowa -3 versus Indiana, Texas versus the Raging Cajuns over 57.5. And man, I know I pounded last week saying take dogs plus the points and take the unders. But with with the team like Alabama, I think they haven't lost a week 1 game since like 2001. And I think they've won by an average margin of victory of like 24 points. I think I read that 24 points over the past 16 years. It's absolutely ridiculous. So Texas Raging Cajuns over 57.5, and then the Georgia Clemson take the under at 53. Enjoy those two teams. We're going to be talking about them all year. They're going to be top 5 all year. And more than likely, we're going to see one, if not both, in the college football playoffs at the end of the year.
What did you go week 2 with your college football plays? Did you go 4-0 or 3-1?
3-0 last week.
3-0. I thought you gave 4 plays.
No, 3-0. The Illinois +7.5.
Right.
The UCLA under 68.5, and then the Fresno State over 44.
Okay, I thought there were 4 plays.
Nope, awesome. There were only 3. Limited to 3.
Undefeated season rolls on going into
week right. 2. Hey guys, the only way to go from here is down.
Yeah,
we're not going down.
Dude, you got to catch a heater, man. We're going to the moon, baby. My tits are jacked to the moon.
Yes, those going to the moon. I did talk about Mac Jones before you hopped on.
Yeah, I bet.
That was that. QB1, baby.
I'll go back and listen to it.
So. Yes, but I appreciate you guys. This is going to be a short episode. I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm leaving for vacation tomorrow. Next week, I'm going to be filming with that flag behind me.
Yeah.
And probably sitting right next to Dale. I'm going to go down and visit him. Long time coming. I haven't seen you face to face in over 2 years now.
No.
Yes.
Has it been over 2?
4th of July, 2 years ago.
No, because I came up for it was after the little one was born.
Yeah, you came up. You were here for Harvey's baptism?
No, my little one.
Your little one. Okay. Yes. Your little one was.
She just turned 2.
I was down there. Well,
she turned 2 in March.
I have no sense of time with COVID.
I understand. It's been over a year.
Sure.
It hasn't been more than 2, but it's been over a year.
It's been close to 2.
It's been close to 2. Yeah,
okay.
You'll be down here soon enough.
Yeah, you guys can hear my dog whimpering in the background. He's got to go to the bathroom, so that's my cue. But yeah, I'm signing off here, guys. Hopefully Tyler can man up and he can join me next week. This is getting old quick, but he'll be here. We're going to get it going next week because next week kicks off week 1 of the NFL season.
That's right.
I said I'm going to go over units and bankroll management and stuff. I want to save that for him. I want, both of us to be able to give you guys what we plan on doing with this season. Is for those of you that know what a unit is, I don't have time to describe it tonight. All these are 1 unit plays. Last week were 1 unit plays. We went 3-0. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plays this week. 5-0 would be great. 4-1, sure. 3-2 at minimum is what I expect. I expect a winning week.
Take your two favorite plays and parlay them together.
Don't listen to him. I hate parlays.
I love
Parlays
them.
are sucker bets.
Take the under plays and tease them, and you can buy yourself some more points.
I don't condone that. Punchless MMA, that's their play, not give me the points. But I appreciate you guys listening. 30 minutes, wrapped it up quick and in a hurry. Until next week, guys, we'll talk to you next Wednesday. Take it easy and good fortune to everybody.